Thinking about passports. I was in a moment where our passports had not yet arrived in time for us to go away as a family. That moment represented absolute fear, and I was living in that moment as if it had actually already happened. Welcome. For those of you who do know me, welcome back. It's been a long time. For those of you who've never seen me before, then welcome for the first time indeed. So going back to the whole passport situation, the situation had not actually yet happened. The passports were not at that point late, but in my head, I was living in that moment as if it had already happened, and the fear had gripped me so hard that panic was trying its very, very best to set in. And it's been a really, really long time because of the pandemic, since we went away on a holiday. So I really, really didn't want to find myself in a situation that meant that we wouldn't be going. I'll tell you about the outcome of that little problem shortly. But in the meantime, it got me thinking. We as a species, as every single other creature of this earth, are hardwired to survive. We look out for hazards. Hazards are problems. Problems are situations that we have not yet gained control of. And what happens when we're not in control? We get stressed. This happens to many of us pretty much on a daily basis. So if we could flip this whole process of thought on its head, whether it's in the corporate world, on the shop floor, at home, or life in general, is there a way that we could start living in a moment, in the future, where we are happy, contented? What would that cause us to do? Here are 3 life leadership steps that you could take to regain control of and expel those poisonous thoughts that contaminate our minds and hold us back from getting things done in the way that we want to get them done. Take a leap forward in time. If we could take a leap forward in time where instead of immersing ourselves in an outcome of a situation that has already resulted in failure and as such we live in misery, instead, is it possible to think of a situation where everything has ended up just as you would want it to be? There is? Good. Now, soak it up. Live in that moment. Experience it as if it has happened already. Get excited about it. The problem has now been solved, the hazard removed, and the situation is now under complete control. How good does that feel? Easier said than done? Not really. Let's break this down. There's a part of the brain called the limbic system, in which sits a component called the amygdala. Now, I'm not going to start going into a whole spiel about the brain and its workings, but what you will be reassured to know is that when you feel like you have lost control of a situation, what is happening to your thought process and therefore how you and your body start to react is perfectly normal. We are meant to do that. The amygdala triggers the whole process that's designed to keep us alive. It has done so for many, many, many thousands of years. And because back then, the thing that really did trigger the fear was right there in front of us, and it wanted to kill us and probably have us for dinner. However, in today's world, up until that moment that you did realize the thing or situation that kicked in a sense of panic and fear is now a possibility, I want you to ask yourself this. What in your external world around you has actually changed between that moment just before you realized and now, bearing in mind that that thing has not yet happened? At the moment, it's just a possibility. So what we are dealing with here is the thought of what might happen and then allowing it to consume us to the point where we are reacting as if the event has already happened and we are powerless to do anything to change it because it's already happened. Time to turn everything on its head. In taking a leap forward in time, what you're doing is bypassing that potential adverse outcome that hasn't happened yet and moving straight to another situation that hasn't happened yet, but one that you do want. Now you know how your desired outcome actually looks, sounds, and feels. Fill your mind with the resources that you need to make it happen. Now, those resources can take many forms depending on what you are trying to achieve. But in my case, with the passports, my resources were a laptop, the passport office website address, and the willingness to pay the extortionate extra for fast tracking the passports. Now, once those resources are in place, my mind is filled with or flooded with achieving a positive outcome and getting the job done. Other scenarios may require a more complex set of resources, but the principle remains the same. If you fill your mind with acquiring the resources to get the job done, you will have no space in your thoughts for the rot to take hold, which leads us on to step 3. The sooner the better. There must be a target. Otherwise, everything gets done on the never never, which means that you will move slowly, painfully slowly towards your desired goal in small installments and probably never end up getting to where you planned in any satisfying capacity or sense of completion, and then end up feeling even worse than you did when you first started. Now, I'm all for taking small steps to change a current undesired situation, but that is all about changing the way you think on a long-term basis. I say a lot more about this in my course, the Laser Guided Method, which I will let you know more about in the coming weeks and months. But setting a time, date, and getting started is about creating and keeping up momentum. In a high stress situation, when you are required to display leadership, whether it's in your own thoughts, among your team, or with your family, you must set a pace and keep at it. In doing this, what you're doing is telling your own subconscious mind and your colleagues and your loved ones that you mean business. And when you show that you can follow through and make good on your own word, then you will build such a deep level of trust with all of the above that no money can buy. What does this do? It focuses the mind and body to take action and start moving towards that desired outcome. More importantly, it gives no space to think about the alternative, unwanted, and more fear-filled possible outcome. Your subconscious mind is there to keep you safe and alive. It is not there to make you successful or become a high achiever. It simply reacts to whatever external events you are experiencing via your conscious mind. And then it triggers the appropriate internal mechanisms. So while your conscious mind is registering everything that's going on around you, your subconscious mind responds to those stimuli accordingly. Yeah, I know. It might seem like complex stuff, but put simply, when you turn everything on its head, you can achieve this. By taking the 3 steps that I've mentioned today, you can experience your desired outcome as if you are already there. You are experiencing things as if what you want has already happened. What does this do? Well, effectively, you end up tricking your subconscious mind. Remember, the subconscious mind is there to keep you safe and alive. So if it believes that the problem is now solved, it takes the body out of fight or flight mode, and you can now allow yourself space to start making more considered and rational decisions. You can now get on with thinking about how you want things to be, and you are now in a much more resourceful state. So rather than thinking about survival and making desperate decisions in the heat of the moment to get you out of danger, get you back to safety, you can now create a space in your mind to think more creatively and behave more positively, and as a result, move more swiftly and calmly towards a solution of your choosing. All of this with the added bonus of having your body functioning normally rather than remaining in that heightened state of alert where your organs are overworking, your chemicals and hormones are being pumped around your system to keep you ready for action, which actually has a long-term effect on your mind and body and ultimately your well-being. Oh, and just to finish off on the whole passport thing, I got it in time. No thanks to the mainstream media who are trying their absolute very best to terrify the life out of me by saying that passports were currently taking as much as 4 months to be processed, which, by the way, would have been way too late for us. The truth of it is that the passport office stated up to 10 weeks, but in reality, I didn't need to fast track as they arrived in 3 weeks from the time that we applied for the renewals. But the point of it being is that the problem existed whether I wanted it to or not. My fear and stress mechanisms were doing their very best to send me into panic mode. But by applying these 3 points, I was able to stay focused, in control, and on this occasion, actually have a successful outcome. Because let's face it, it's not always going to happen in the way that we would like, which is why the 3 steps that I mentioned here need to be applied within the boundaries of reality. So in summary, when you get hit by a problem, rather than going into a flat spin and causing yourself to crash and burn among the panic and chaos of the problem that you've allowed yourself to be surrounded by, instead take a step away, a metaphorical step, or maybe even a real step, and go for a walk, which is something I will cover more about in another one of these videos, which is why you need to hit the subscribe button. But we digress. So let's stay on track. Take a leap forward in time. Consider the solution and then place your mind as if you are already at your desired outcome and it's already happened. Fill your mind with the resources to make it happen, thus leaving no space for what you don't want to happen. And lastly, set a time, date, and start. Keep up the momentum and be relentless. You only need to look at anyone who has led anything to any kind of success, and you will find that they too use these methods. I hope you found this helpful and useful. If you do, then please do give us a like. Feel free to share, it really does help me. More importantly, or most importantly, it can help others. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell next to the subscribe button, because that will let you know every time I upload a new one of these videos. So that's me for now, and I'll see you next time.